Yo, what's going on? Your boy Ghost here. Today I am bringing you guys another comparison video between the PPSH and Mac-10, and I wanted to make this video because the PPSH has been getting a lot of love recently, and the Mac-10 after the Season 4 mid-season update was, being used widely, or I guess a lot of people were using it just to see if it was going to be like the best gun after update. To be honest, I think it's a very solid weapon. But the PPSH, man, has been getting a lot of love recently, and I've been seeing a lot more people using it. And in this video, we're going to see how it matches up against a Mac-10, which is, again, a gun that gets used very often and very frequently. And, yeah, man. But before we do, I want to say if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button. We're on to 2,000. We just hit 1.8K. You guys have been killing lately, and we're just getting closer and closer to that 2,000 milestone. So, again, man, any sub is appreciated. I'm very thankful for it. And, yeah, man, if you find this video informative, useful, please make sure to leave a like. Let's get to, like, 15 likes. I know you guys can do it. And, yeah, man, with that being said, let's get into this comparison. And then we have the recoil pattern for the PPSH, which, as you can see, is pretty straightforward. However, with the fast fire rate, the recoil develops quickly in that range. I just don't think this weapon is that great. I know it's an SMG. Range doesn't really matter, and I also know that I'm not using an underbarrel, so at range, of course, it's going to feel kind of weird. But I feel like even if I use an underbarrel, this weapon wouldn't surpass a Mac-10 without an underbarrel, which I use. I use a Mac-10 without an underbarrel, and I believe that weapon to still be, or to be very superior over the PPSH in terms of range. And even if this gun did have an underbarrel, I would believe the Mac-10 without an underbarrel would still be superior. And I don't know why that is, because funny enough, the Mac-10 has a significantly faster fire than the PPSH, yet I believe it to be a lot easier to control at range and just a lot smoother overall for those ranges. But when it comes to close range, that competition between these two, that's where it starts to spice up, because the PPSH has a lot of damage and it has a fast fire, which is a deadly combination, especially at close range. And the fact that this weapon is finally getting to the spotlight amazes me, because after the second buff, this weapon was godlike, and yet no one really talked about it in the last, I guess, in the first half of Season 4 and even after the second buff. And I know that you could say the competition was tough because pretty much every SMG was like extremely viable, and anyone or just everyone had their own preference. But the PPSH, man, was definitely a top gun then, and I think it is now. But again, I don't think you can consider this like the true meta of Warzone at the moment. I feel like there's a lot of just unknowns right now and a lot of preferences right now where the PPSH can't really be considered the top meta, but I am starting to see the shift towards more PPSH features, which is good because I love PPSH and I would definitely love a PPSH meta. Again, I don't think this weapon is too crazy, too broken. I think it's just right for a meta weapon where, like, I know it's going to be used a lot and it'll probably receive a nerf eventually if it get used a lot, but the PPSH meta would be fun, don't even lie. And on the other hand, for the Mac-10, I think the Mac-10 is one of those safe choices where, like, when the first update first hit, people didn't really know what to use. People were kind of like struggling to experiment, but the Mac-10 was like that one weapon you could, be confident in. And right now, I feel like it's in the state where it's 50-50. Because I think the Mac-10 is, you're either going to think it shoots marshmallows, or you're either going to think it's an amazing weapon. I'm on the side that thinks it's an amazing weapon. The weapon is still very solid. Some people do believe it to be a marshmallow shooter, though. And to be honest, sometimes I do see that. But more often, I see the amazing side of the Mac-10. And that's why I've been loving using it, and that's why you see a lot of other people using it, because that weapon is still a very solid choice in this meta. And it's not like this meta has like some crazy weapon that is untouchable. I know you can make the argument that the new SMG is like, could be considered that, but I think that the new SMG has kind of its flaws where people don't really want to use it, and people were saying it was going to be the meta, but as you guys can see, like, that has not happened, and I don't see it happening. I think the 40-round mag is going to be the thing that truly limits it and doesn't allow it for it to, come out the ground and become the true meta. If anything, it's going to be a weapon that just competes with guns like PPSH and Mac-10. But yeah, man, it's PPSH, bro. I'm so glad that it's here. Again, very good weapon, fast fire rate, high damage. I'm not going to get to the specifics of it yet. I want to do that a little bit in the Mac-10 segment, so don't get mad, man. I know I'm being begged with the descriptions of these weapons, but just bear with me. I'm going to get into the stats a little bit later. Yeah, man, with that being said, let's get into the Mac-10. And there we have the recoil pattern for the Mac-10, which, as you can see, also pretty straightforward. Actually very similar to the PPSHs, or at least in my eyes, it's pretty similar. But it's crazy that they share a very big difference in range, even though they're similar in recoil, but it comes down to the fire rate, because the Mac-10, again, significantly faster fire rate than the PPSH. I'm not going to go too specific into those numbers, because truthfully, I don't think they really matter. Just know that the Mac-10 is way faster. If you want to see the specifics, be my guest. True Game Data website is there for you. You go do your thing. But, like I mentioned, the close range battle is where it gets really spicy, because the PPSH actually has a significantly higher damage than the Mac-10. And when I mean significantly, it's like this. So for headshots, the PPSH at 0 to 17 meters is a 33 damage, while the Mac-10's is a 27, which to me is a very, very significant difference there. When it comes to chest and stomach, the PPSH has 26 and the Mac has a 23. Now that might not seem like a lot to you, but I think a 3% or a 3 damage point difference is a pretty big deal. And then for the extremities, which is like the limbs and whatnot, it's 23 for the PPSH, and then it's 20 for the Mac-10. Again, another 3 damage differential right there, which again I think is a very big deal. It's not like just a 1 damage differential where it makes it 1 less bullet or 1 more bullet to kill. It's more than that now. And in situations, that could be life or death. However, the saving grace for the Mac-10, the reason why it makes this gun so competitive, even if it's lacking the damage compared to the PPSH, is just the absurd fire rate. I mean, listen, bro. Even if you have a very powerful weapon, even when I'm using the Colt MP5, which is significantly higher damage than the Mac-10, and it's more damage than PPSH, back before the update happened, the Mac-10 will still fry me, and that's just because that weapon shoots so fast that it doesn't matter if you have a lot of damage. If you just, you know what I'm saying, you're just not ready for the barrage you're about to endure when you go up against a Mac-10. And in terms of fire rate, there are very few SMGs that can compete with the Mac-10. Off the top of my head, I can probably only think of like 2 SMGs that can either come close or maybe surpass the Mac-10. And I'm not even 100% confident because I don't know their actual fire rates. But the weapons are the Fennec and the new SMG. I don't know the actual numbers on that, but to me, that would be the 2 most logical choices that could be seen as faster or just as fast as the Mac-10. But they suffer from having 40 round mags and kind of low damage. Like the Fennec, I think, was a very solid choice before the nerf, but I think with this nerf it might have gotten hit a little too much. So now it might shoot, now it actually truly might shoot marshmallows, and that gun doesn't have range, and if it shoots marshmallows, that weapon really isn't the greatest. The new SMG has good damage and a fast fire rate, but I think it has a lot of things that prevent it from it becoming the #1 SMG. Although, again, like I mentioned, many people at the beginning of this update saw that weapon as the new #1, but as you guys know, that really hasn't been the case. I don't really consider it the #1. I haven't really seen much of it. Like, I see it occasionally, but it's not littered in my Warzone games. Not everyone's using it. I'm not using it, and it's just, I don't know. I think that weapon is solid, but maybe not meta worthy. Whereas these 2 weapons, I think, may not be the greatest in statistical categories. They may not be like the top of the SMGs in terms of stats, but they just have enough to be able to be considered meta to where, you know, everyone's using them. And they're not like crazy metas where we're gonna be dreading dying to them. Or I probably hope not, unless, you know, everyone really uses them and we just get bored of dying to the same weapons because there's no variety. Which I can understand. That's you know, a valid point, because people were getting kind of annoyed at like the Growl back in, was it season 2, season 3, where you were just dying to it constantly, and people just were like tired of it. I can see that happening if the PPSH and Mac-10 become overused, but I just don't see these 2 weapons, like, one just overcoming the other and becoming the dominant SMG. I think everyone is just going to have their own preference, and that's really what it's just going to come down to at this point. Both of these weapons, here's my claim, because I know in my title I'm probably going to say something about meta. These 2 weapons are going to be meta, but not dominant metas where, like, everyone is going to use them, or if you don't use it, you're going to be screwed. Where, you know, like, for example, the DMR and AUG, if you didn't use these weapons, you were putting yourself at a big disadvantage. I don't think that's going to be the case for these 2 weapons. However, I do see them being used a lot. But it's not going to be like, oh yeah, Mac-10, every person in your lobby has it, or PPSH, every person in your lobby has it. But it's probably going to be the majority of the player base is more than likely going to lean towards these 2 weapons. I know there's a lot of other options out there, which is great. There's still other options out there. We're going to explore that We're going to explore on that a little bit later, so, you know, stay tuned to the channel. Again, make sure to sub, bro, because I still have a lot of fire comparisons coming on the way. So you want to be here for that. So I'm telling you, it's going to get spicy, because the conversation for the SMGs doesn't stop at these two weapons. There's still other conversations to be had, and we're going to have those conversations a little bit later. But for these two weapons, man, in conclusion, I honestly don't have a preference between one another. I think they're both very solid. I think they're both capable of being metas. Again, not like dominant metas where we're just going to see one of the gun for the whole remainder of the season. But I think both of them are going to be like a double meta where it's going to be the two guns at the top and you're either using this gun or the other one. Anyways, man, let me know what you guys think about both these weapons. Where do you guys rank them currently in the state of Warzone? And yeah, man, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys later, and I'm out. Peace.